So I would say there's some big news here on the TV front for the Big 12, which is important as ever. We all hail our Big 12, our college football TV overlords, okay? They rule everything in college football. So TV numbers mean lifeblood in the sport. And we now know that the league's number one TV attraction in the Big 12 is, still going to be a major attraction unless I do think that there is one new development here that could stop it. So I'm going to start with the good and then get to the potentially bad, potentially negative. And this will be polarizing because one of the next words and or phrases out of my mouth is going to be Coach Prime. That is a very polarizing thing in the league. But love him or hate him, he is the Big 12's number one TV ratings drawer. That was proven over the course of this year. Colorado drew huge ratings throughout the season. They were still close to 4 million per game this year in terms of average viewership. It's not quite what it was for like the first month and a half when they were averaging like 8 million in the Pac-12 the previous year when it was totally completely new and everybody was loving it up. But Colorado still drew really damn well, and it was a huge asset to the league as far as that goes. I just talked on Sunday about how, I really think with what Prime can sell based on getting Travis Hunter the Heisman, he's got some staying power, and it's not just going to be like, hey, he's up and out. Right now, we only have one major-ish job open in college football, and it is Washington State. More on that later on in the show. But it looks like Prime's going to be at Colorado. I guess people would come back and say, see what happens with the Cowboys. Like, okay, fair enough. But it looks like Prime is going to be at Colorado again. And now the news part of this is he's got a commitment at quarterback, and it's a big one. Caden Salter from Liberty, dual threat guy, great with his legs, great with his arm, took Liberty to the Fiesta Bowl last year. Numbers dipped, team dipped a bit this year, but still a really talented, highly sought-after portal quarterback. And you might say, well, John, didn't Coach Prime already have a big-time quarterback? Yes, he did. He has already landed five-star quarterback Julian Lewis, stole him away from USC. That's the number 2 overall player in the transfer portal, according to ESPN, or a high school player, rather, according to ESPN. So Prime has added 2 high-profile QBs. It would seem that they're going to be in pretty damn good hands handing that thing off from Shedeur Sanders. And that's the most important thing to making them a valuable TV entity. You're going to need star power, but really you need a quarterback to make that thing run. It took some time to get the rest of the whole engine humming, but when they had a quarterback and some weapons out wide, that could carry them quite a ways in terms of not even just what's happening on the field, but entertainment value. The entertainment value piece of this seems to be really checked off with what Colorado's done at quarterback, getting both of these kids to come in. I think this is very good news in terms of Colorado continuing to be something that will draw on TV. There probably will continue to be some diminishing returns on it, as it's not quite as novel anymore when it becomes Coach Prime's third year in college football. But this is still a very good sign that it's not going to completely fall off without Shedeur and Travis, both in terms of what they're actually doing on the field and in terms of how to make an entertaining product. Because this is all about TV, how to make an entertaining show, get a magnetic coach that's a lightning rod for criticism and love, guy that everybody loves to hate. You need high-profile players that people know. A sexy offense certainly helps. And I think the chances of them having a sexy offense again next year raised considerably when they add Caden Salter in from Liberty here to compete with Julian Lewis. It could be that Julian Lewis comes in and wins the job. And maybe this is a little more like Sawyer Robertson, Daquan Finn, when everybody thinks Finn's going to be the guy, and Sawyer Robertson steals the job from him. Whatever, either way, but you've definitely added insurance at the very, very worst with this. This is a former top 50 kid, started at Tennessee, put up huge numbers at Liberty the last 4 years, took him to the Fiesta Bowl, as I mentioned. So forget what the totality of this whole team is going to look like, which I still think they've got a chance to make that happen. They've got a top 15 portal class right now. It's no Texas Tech portal class. It's one thing Tech can say, like, man, we are kicking Coach Prime's butt in the portal right now, but still pretty good. Still a pretty good class. Colorado's taking hits, man. No doubt about it. There will be losses here. You've got both Sanders kids. You've got Travis Hunter, Nikai Hill-Green, who was arguably the best defensive player for Colorado. Great linebacker. He's in the portal. That one surprised me this week. I suppose he could still come back. We'll see. And he also could be going to the NFL, which I think was an assumption from a lot of Colorado fans there. I don't know what exactly is going to happen with Nikai Hill-Green. But you may be losing basically your best defensive player there as well. And the defense was much improved this past year. So there will be things, if we're talking about the actual nuts and bolts of the team, that need to be figured out. But I think the quarterback offensive star power, for the sake of the league and what it's going to look like and how much entertainment value and TV viewership you can drain out of Colorado, that's really important. So love him or hate him, you should respect that. Now, the only thing that can stop this is if Bill Belichick completely replaces the novelty of Coach Prime being here. And that's too new and too shiny of a toy this year for everybody to be distracted by. And you're already seeing a lot of this start to happen. Will there be enough attention to go around basically for Prime and Belichick, two guys that bring so much novelty and are not in the SEC or Big Ten, which are always going to draw no matter what? Fascination this year is going to be with North Carolina and what happens there. And it's not even about like, hey, directly competing for TV slots necessarily. Like, ACC and Big 12 are on different TV deals, though, you've got ESPN involved in both of them. But it's about whether or not the shine kind of like, Coach Prime, all right, cool. We've seen it before. They're a pretty good program. All right, yeah, they've got good players, but it's not as exciting. It's not as flashy as Travis Hunter. So we're going to go over here and see how this dude in a hoodie actually does trying to talk to 18-year-olds with his 25-year-old girlfriend on the sideline. That may be what really happens this year. We've got short attention spans as a society. Everybody knows that. And there is so much focus on what's going on with Belichick. Like I listen to a lot of college football podcasts. I, at times, will listen to Andy and Ari on 3. I do enjoy them. I opened up their feed yesterday, I think it was, when I was looking to see, all right, what have they been talking about? What could I listen to here? They did 5 straight podcasts about Bill Belichick. 5 straight. And only one of those was before he took the job. So it was like will he actually take this North Carolina job? And then 4 straight, ripped them off in a row, Bill Belichick podcast, because that's how much people are fascinated by this and how much people really care. So will that suck away too much attention from the casuals? Because we're talking about here casuals tuning in to watch Coach Prime, people who live in the YouTube comment sections to tell you that you're hating on Colorado if you don't pick them to win 15 games every single year. It's the casual crowd. Will they now start to gravitate toward Belichick and be like, well, the NFL fan is like, if Ohio State and Michigan are playing, I'll watch, I suppose. Nice little appetizer for me. They're interested in Dion. Now maybe they will be so interested in Belichick, they won't care as much about tuning in to watch the Coach Prime show. As I mentioned, I couldn't find full TV numbers from the Pac-12 year for Coach Prime, but it was at around 8 million through like the first 6 games of that season. So, I mean, that's pretty crazy. And it was around 4 million last year in the Big 12. So there was a definite drop off there, at least to some extent. I'd be curious what the full year numbers looked like in the Pac-12 last year. There's already been some of that. It'll be year 3. And then the other factor here is these type of hires are becoming more and more common. Like I don't know if everybody saw that Norfolk State hired none other than Michael Vick to be its head coach. So you're going to get more and more of this. I think especially as we're in this new era of college football where it's not, people are open to trying new ideas here. Recruiting is not the same. If you can just have money, you're basically signing players like it would be professionally in this crazy unrestricted free agency period. That makes people more open to taking on unique sorts of head coaches like that. So that may diminish some of the novelty value over time. But for next year anyway, I was happy for the conference's sake that Coach Prime locked down another high-profile quarterback.